Welcome to the Broadway Almanac. I'm George Harder, your host. Richard Rodgers may not be this country's greatest composer. That honor would have to go to someone like Aaron Copland, Leonard Bernstein, or Virgil Thomson. But he is certainly our greatest melodist, along with Cole Porter and George Gershwin. After all, Richard Rodgers, born in 1902 in Harlem, has given us the universal musical language for both a beautiful morning and an enchanted evening. In my opinion, his melodies are so hummable, so whistleable, so good that his songs would often obscure the story for the musicals they were written for. And that is their only flaw. This is especially true of his work with Larry Hart in the 1920s and 1930s. Everyone knows such standards as My Funny Valentine, The Lady is a Tramp, Blue Moon, Mountain Greenery, and of course, I'll Take Manhattan and Staten Island too. But who can name or recall the plot of the theater productions those songs came from? Lorenz Hart, Larry to everyone except his mother, was born in 1885 in New York City, and he must be considered among the top lyricists in the history of the American musical theater. His wit and romance, coupled with Rodgers' toe-tapping melodies, are what makes so many of their songs timeless classics, covered by jazzers, crooners, opera stars. Horizontally speaking, he's at his very best, or vexed again, perplexed again, thank God I can be oversexed again, lines from Pal Joey from Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. Larry Hart lines of lyrics that Rodgers' next writing partner, Oscar Hammerstein II, would never have written. He would have been too embarrassed. In 1942, after 20 years of writing together, Rodgers, a disciplined man with impeccable work habits, finally grew weary of Larry Hart's erratic behavior, his drinking, his disappearing to seek out his hidden gay lifestyle. He gave Hart an ultimatum: get to work on our new commission, a musical treatment of Green Grow the Lilacs, or I find another writing partner. Larry Hart departed for Mexico, and Rodgers and Hart became Rodgers and Hammerstein the next day. And Green Grow the Lilacs became Oklahoma. So which comes first, the words or the music, composers are asked 16 times a day. Well, Richard Rodgers with Larry Hart, the music came first. It was the only way he could get Hart to sit down, focus, and concentrate on writing the words. With Hammerstein, the lyrics came first. Open, sunny, fresh, and Rodgers' music followed suit, changing radically as a result. It's why a melody, later fitted with Hart's lyrics, is much darker, much more minor mode than a melody inspired by Hammerstein's lyrics. Rodgers said it was like a breath of fresh air to open the envelope the messenger sent over and to read the very first lines that Oscar Hammerstein contributed. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. Repeat. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Lines that Larry Hart would have been embarrassed to write. Together with Rodgers' great melodies and Hammerstein's genius for theater, the two developed what is known today as the Rodgers and Hammerstein formula for constructing a musical comedy. And it's still very much in use today, whether it's In the Heights, The Book of Mormon, or even Hamilton. The R&H template is still relevant. Richard Rodgers, if you met him and didn't know his profession, you'd think he was maybe a lawyer or a stockbroker, always impeccably dressed with a fresh carnation in his lapel. Not much for chit-chat. He was a very astute businessman when it came to his intellectual properties. Richard Rodgers' songs with both Hart and Hammerstein are so well constructed, so good, that they do not need a big orchestra to come alive. They are malleable. That's why they have become such popular covers for jazz artists. Yet, ironically enough, Rodgers did not like people tampering with his music. He never wanted his music to be malleable. He blew up at arrangers if they used a different chord than as written. Asked his opinion once of a Peggy Lee version of one of his songs, he replied, "Well, I don't know why Peggy Lee had to pick on me when she could have screwed up Silent Night." He called jazz versions of his tunes raucous, and in 1961 especially hated John Coltrane's 14-minute jazz version of My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music. But Richard Rodgers died in December of 1979. Oscar Hammerstein passed away in 1960. Larry Hart died in 1943. So their songs are now in the hands of a new generation, free to update them for a new time, and in the process, enable them to live on. Fortunately, the songs are good enough, timeless enough to withstand it. That's your Broadway Almanac. I'm George Harder. So long until next time.